If you're going to do it at some point anyway.
Well, I played. It's going to be a big project.
Yeah. All got little bits, and we've all got like photos and stuff, and some of
Come from that department with Heritage Auctions. Yeah.
backing whatever. So a few of the really big things he's given to the museum, which I think is really nice.
Well, Sylvester Stallone had a storage unit, and he had all this material, about 1,000 items in this storage unit, and he had had them professionally packaged and crated for decades, and he hadn't seen them for a long time. So he thought, well, you know, there's no reason for me to keep these any longer. I think that I'd like to share them with the public and fans and collectors.
Pieces and like perhaps videotape them or not or whatever.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in sports and art and even the art market, which is
virtually everything he pulled out, he'd say, I didn't know we had this. For example, he pulled out the Drago uniform and he says, oh, you have the boots. I mean, he'd forgot all these things. And then he pulled out the robe and he holds it up and he says, that's a big boy.
He's got overexcited on the page.
I was overgenerous.
Yeah, someone would have had that. But yeah.
The oldest piece that he has that I can think of in this collection is a down jacket. It's not a down jacket. It's a it's a jacket that he wore when he was a struggling actor in New York City, that he said he would put Vaseline on him and wear this jacket to keep him from freezing. And when he was living in a car or just anywhere. And he showed me pieces around this coat where he says, well, this is where a dog attacked me, and so here's a rip in this area, and here's another area where his brother had put the coat on top of some hot area, and it got kind of burned. But he says, this coat saved my life.
was all used.
Yeah.
It transferred into the original screenplay. Pack rat in them.
Yeah.
And this was not easy for him to do.
Yeah, but then if it's sitting in a storage unit, then.
Well, this is the iconic leather jacket worn by Sylvester Stallone in Rocky I. And great story that goes with this, by the way. They had such a small budget on this film that the producers asked Mr. Stallone, well, do you have any clothes at home that you could make for this character to create him? So he went home and he had this leather jacket. So he thought, well, okay, well, I'll start with this. And then he created other pieces to the puzzle of that character. But this was the beginning of how we know Rocky right from the get-go.
With me, with material, like, well, what documentation do you
Exactly,
have with
you don't
this?
have any proof there,
You have no
so-
proof, no documentation.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Anything like that, you might want to do that. It would be.
Well, the good thing is his parents.
They've sold some drips and drabs,
Right.
but they've had promoting it. He's going to be involved in the promotion of this.
We've got his boxing gloves and his championship belt from Rocky II, where he actually wins the title. Those are very, very iconic, and they're wonderfully presentable items too. We also have his treatment for Rocky I. Treatment is basically a writer deciding on inventing some characters, coming up with some dialogue, and coming up with some story. And it's not the full screenplay, but it's just an idea. And much of this got transferred over into the original screenplay. In particular, this page here shows the scene in Rocky I where Apollo Creed and and the people surrounding him are talking about who he could fight for this celebration in Philadelphia. And Apollo Creed is reading through this book of all the names, and he says, right here, and these are almost the exact words in here, Rocky Balboa, the Italian stallion. He said Italian. He goes, he's the one. Rocky becomes prominent in the film. The film's a success, and it creates all this other memorabilia and all the other films that he created.
It is the first shot. And then Princess Leia's outfit from.
And he's one of my vintage rock and roll instrument friends here, and that's who is visiting with me. Something totally different from.
In Chennai, and there was a match, and
It just lasted too long for me.
That whole, you know, like
Women.
4 hours,
Yeah.
short term, you know.